So I did kind of a reaction video on a trailer for the movie Civil War that's supposed to come out, I think, in April this year, next year, depending on when you watch it, 2024, and it's as good as a reason as any to spur a discussion, a conversation on what a civil war in this country would look like. So something I kind of wanted to explore anyway, and I wind up thinking about these things in it. So I've already kind of explored it. And I hope this movie, it looks like, I've got hope that the antagonist is the third term president, and he's just kind of a generic despot. All right, and then you've got rebels trying to stop him. And then maybe there's some nuance on both sides, and both sides kind of you can kind of understand where they're coming from. And there's also kind of assholes on both sides. All right. So, and ultimately being just an overall warning. Kristen Dunst has a line in the trailer saying, you know, I thought I was sending a warning home that don't do this every time we went to a war zone. Don't do this. And kind of that's my stance. That is my stance. Don't do this. That is the absolute civil war, of actual physical shooting, bloody civil war is the absolute dead last option. Period. Because it ain't going to go down the way you think it is. Wars hardly ever do. Take World War I, for example. Both sides thought, we bad, we can take the other side. And then the next thing you know, 4 years later, it was known as the Great War. And I don't even think the side that ostensibly won that war would have done it the same way if they had to do it over again, knowing that the destruction that had caused. So, don't do it. Civil War, last option. Now, of course, like there's the quote from the Revolution: if they mean to have war, don't be the aggressor. But if they mean to have war, okay. I mean, if that's the only option, you back somebody into a corner and that is the only option, then I wouldn't have a problem going at it. All right, we've done everything we could. Take the stance of the founders. They tried every possible way to peaceably resolve their issues with the king, with King George. They tried every possible manner to say, hey, here are our grievances. Here's our issues. We just want to, we want our rights. We weren't looking to cause a revolution. They weren't looking to cause a secession from the King of England. But then it got to a point, well, all right, look, we're not resolving this. And then even after they declared independence, they wanted peace. They're like, look, redcoats, just get on a ship and go home. That's it. We're done. We don't want any more. But they meant to have war. Okay. And only then, when it is your last option. That's why the American Revolution and like World War II, not saying that there weren't any other justified wars that we've been involved with, but those two right there were the clear cut. You know what? We've got no choice, no option is the way it's going to be, so we're going to go at it. But exhaust every possible avenue of approach before that. Hell, even the second to last option, an amicable secession or national divorce, where the liberal states go their way and conservative states go their way, it would be preferable. Still not something I would want to see at all. But there seems to be, and it's a minority opinion, I will say that, of people on the right and people on the left who would be like, yeah, let's just go ahead and get it over with. Let's just fight a war, because they think they're going to win. Like in World War, or even in our Civil War in the 1860s, both sides thought we could take them, no problem. And it didn't work out that way. We've never had an actual civil war. That was a war of secession, not insurrection. Two different things. All right, I'm going to make a whole nother video on the war between the states from the 1860s. But so we've never had two factions vying for power in a physical shooting war over the same territory, over the control of the entire country. don't want to go there because you got some people on the right and say, yeah, look at the lefties. They're all soft and they can't live a day without their Starbucks latte. And then people on the left are like, oh, you think you rednecks with your AR-15. First off, they always like to say the AR-15 is a scary weapon of war. It should be banned. But then if you say, well, it's for opposing the government, should it get out of control? They say, oh, you think your pea shooter AR-15 is going to be able to go up against a tank? So make up your minds on that one, liberals. But both sides think that they would just crush the other side, and it's not going to go down that way. Now, there's two possible scenarios that it depends on who's the commander-in-chief, who's in control of the government, the federal government. Take Ronald Reagan or Donald Trump, any generic Republican conservative. Now, that is a scenario I'm not worried about because our side's not the despotic ones. I know you liberals out there are going to disagree with me, but well, Donald Trump's not trying to jail his opposition. Donald Trump wasn't trying to take people off the ballot or silence them or suspend habeas corpus and just arrest people without trial. Donald Trump didn't do any of that. So, Ronald Reagan, those the two recent big ones, Reagan and Trump, wouldn't be the despotic ones. So, not saying that liberals would not try an insurrection, but that one would probably get put down real quick. The only reason Antifa and BLM do what they do is because they know they can get away with it. Hell, they're practically ordered to do it. Police are told to stand aside. If they get arrested, they're released with no bond, no bail. They won't get prosecuted by George Soros-backed prosecutors, and so they can get away with it. They know that. There will be no accountability. Now, change that, and if you actually tried an insurrection, these people actually got arrested and actually got thrown in jail, it would change the thing, or two. It would change their way of thinking. Or if they actually went into a shooting war and an insurrection, now you're calling out the regular army, regular soldiers, professionals who know how to shoot, know their tactics, know their business. That's going to end real quick. I'm not saying that they don't have a few people on their side who know their business as well. There probably are a few vets, law of averages, I mean, no doubt, who know the tactics and know all that, but there's not going to be a whole lot of them. Their will's going to get broken, would get broken pretty fast. So they probably wouldn't even try it. Now, the flip opposite of that is if a socialist, Democrat, liberal is in office, Obama, Biden, take your generic, whatever, liberal socialists. That's where it gets interesting, and that's the kind of thing that should be keeping people up at night. That scenario. Because conservatives be like, what are you going to do? You a bunch of softy liberals. And then the liberals are like, well, we've got the army. And here's the thing. If you're on the right, if you're a 2A advocate and all that, you're not going to be fighting the furries, people who think they're animals. You're not going to be fighting the trannies. You're not going to be fighting the hipsters sitting at Starbucks with their latte. You're going to be fighting people like you who just don't pay as much attention to the news or the scenarios. I cannot tell you how many people in the Army, when at the height of COVID, that I knew who are otherwise very intelligent people who just went with the narrative of COVID. Take the experimental injection. They didn't call it that. That's what it was, though. Take the experimental injection. There are no side effects. It's safe. It's effective. Wear your mask. Lockdown. And it's because they just got the information from the Army, from the Defense Department, from the government. And what are you going to do if you're told, hey, there are insurrectionists. There's this group over here that's trying to overthrow the government. And all you're told is the propaganda. All you know, and you don't go and you look, maybe the internet gets shut down. And you can't dig around for it. And the only thing you got is corporate legacy media. And that's another thing. If this happens, it's the information war that's going to be as important, if not more important, than the shooting part. So you get people who in the Army, who may have conservative tendencies, who, if they knew the full picture of things going on, but they don't pay enough, they don't dig for the information, they just pay idle attention, live their life going along, and then they get the information from the chain of command and from the government, and they're told this. And if you don't go and do it, if you don't go and shoot these people, well, you're going to be court-martialed. You're going to get put in jail, and you're going to go to Fort Leavenworth, and not as a guard. You're going to be separated from your family, and your family's not going to be able. You're not going to be able to provide for them. Oh, if you're close to retirement, you're going to lose that too. Those are the people you're going to be fighting. Not just the Army. Take the FBI. Take, with their tactical units, HRT. Take whatever you want. Those are the people you're going to have to fight. People like you. People maybe you knew. Maybe you know them. They got families too that they want to go home to. They got kids. They got parents. They got wives and husbands. Hard enough to kill somebody who's a foreigner, speaks a different language, different culture, believes in totally different things. Now, shoot someone like you. Shoot your own countrymen. And they've got the tanks. Now, and they've got the helicopter gunships, and they've got all that. Now, law of averages, there's going to be some people who do desert, who do mutiny against it, who leave, join the other side. There are going to be people who stay on and work from the inside, maybe pass intel, inside information to the insurrection, or throw a monkey wrench into the operation. Yeah, that helicopter gunship, it's down for maintenance. Can't fly today. Well, we've got this attack. We gotta do. Well, chopper's down. Do those kind of things. So there's that. So on the left, if you think you're just gonna have the Army willy-nilly, that's gonna be a factor. And yeah, that weapon of war, that AR-15 that you wanted to confiscate from people, it's not just a piece. Hey, you're going to have to get out of those armored trucks and those tanks and those APCs. Because as powerful a weapon as that tank is, and it's good in open terrain, it's not invincible. Take it to the mountains of Appalachia. Take it to the Rocky Mountains. Take it to a dense forest. Take it to the bayous of Louisiana or the Florida Everglades. And your tank's in effect. Take it into the city streets where it gets boxed in. Drop Molotov cocktails on top of it from rooftops. How many bulldozers are in this country as opposed to the number of tanks in the Army? Now, I'm not saying bulldozer versus tank straight up is a fair fight. I'm saying a bulldozer in 20 or 30 minutes can dig a ditch that a tank can't get across or is going to get stuck in. Hell, barbed wire can foul up the tracks of a tank. So unless you want to go scorched earth, and you'll really lose popular support at that point where you just level all the houses, you're going to have to get out, put boots on the ground, go door to door, house to house. And it's going to be bad. It ain't going to be pretty. It ain't going to be pleasant. It ain't going to be something that you want to go through. I don't want to go through it. I don't want to have my family go through that. Even if we're not in an area where that's happening, it's going to affect everything. And then throw the entire world, the stability of the world. Next thing you know, China wants to invade Taiwan. The Americans over there, they got their own problems. They can't deal with this right now. And there goes Taiwan. And there goes a dominoed cascade effect. So, not something we want to do. And you think it's just going to be easy. And it's tempting to have some kind of event where you just hit the reset button, whether you're on the left, whether you're on the right. No matter what you think the problem is and who caused the problems, like, hey, if we just do this and we wipe out the opposition, we can get that constitutional amendment that repeals the 16th Amendment and the 17th Amendment, take away the income tax, replace it with get term limits for congressmen, give the president a line item veto, all this stuff, all of it. Or if you're on the left, you want to just ditch the Constitution altogether and come up with something your own. Take away the First and Second Amendment. It's tempting because going through the actual process is hard, but that's not the way you want to do it. Now, I have no doubt. Would be very confident. My betting would be on the conservative, the right side. defeating the left. But is that juice worth a squeeze? I don't think so. I think there's different, better ways to do that. And even if you do win, then you get somebody who tries to co-opt the movement. Hell, even during the American Revolution, when that was over with, some people wanted to make George Washington king. And thank God, our founders and the leadership in that revolution, George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin, John Adams, you know the names, were not of that persuasion. They say, no, we didn't separate from a king just to replace it with our own king. No, we were going to do something different. But there will be those people in the movement who try to co-opt it. And that's a danger. So let's just not do this. Let's work it out. And stealing elections is not the way to give people confidence in the system and work it out. Just saying, hey, this is why I always say, be excellent to each other. But also, Sic Semper Tyrannis, long live the Republic, God bless.